Hello guys, today's video gonna be MS suspension number 2. So for today's video we're gonna teach you how to cut a MS chassis, okay? And for the next video, which is number 3, we're gonna teach you how to make the bracket. Okay, let's get started. For the tool you need for cutting the MS suspension chassis, it is need a Tamiya the handsaw. Okay, I'm gonna put a link on top of the video and give you part number of these items. And also you need the plastic cutter. If you have a good one, just go ahead and buy a really good one, because it does tell a lot different if you have like a very cheap plastic cutter. Okay, and another thing you need, it is the knife. Okay, and the next is very important tool you need, it is this one right here, the micro milling machine right here. Okay, this is Paxson MF70, and I understand a lot of people don't have this machine, but you know, for making MS suspension you need something to cut a chassis for in professional way. So please do not ask me question like, if you don't have this micro milling machine, what are the other option you have? Unfortunately, you don't have the other option. If you want to cut your own MS suspension chassis, you do need a lot of professional tool. Okay, so if you don't have this tool, and please just give up, or either buy the one which is, you can find that on eBay. There's people selling the one which is chassis already being pre-cut on the eBay, so you can find those chassis which is already finished on eBay. So if you want to make your own chassis, you need this machine. Okay, let's get started. First, you have to cut the center part of chassis. So first, you have to cut these pieces off. So you're gonna follow the line which is right here. And the second, you're gonna cut the other part of the chassis which is on the back right here. Okay. So first, what you have to do is you have to hold the chassis. It's really firm on any kind of cutting mat. Okay. Next, make sure this side of edges you have to be lay on this side right here. So you have to be like this. Let me give you a better angle so you can see. So make sure it is straight, and also make sure it is 100% lay on this side right here. Okay, it's gonna be looks like this. Okay, so next you're gonna slowly just make a cutting line first. Okay, because you have to make sure your cutting line have to be very straight, otherwise after you cut it, it's gonna be crooked. Okay, so it's gonna be looks like this. You have to make a cutting line right here. Okay, like right here. So next, just gonna go ahead and follow the line. Okay, and remove these pieces off from the chassis. Make sure do not damage any part of this part, and also this part right here. Please do not damage it, because we have to keep this side and this side, and for the later attached to the chassis. Okay. Okay, so it's come off. So as you can see, if you follow my direction, the cutting should be really perfect. Okay, see, both sides is very even. Okay, and it's very straight. Just make sure follow my direction. Make sure you make the line first, so in this way the saw can follow the line and cut the chassis off. Okay, so let me just go ahead and remove the rear part of the chassis. Okay, so okay, here's the chassis gonna be looks like after you cut off the front bumper and the rear bumper. So here's the original chassis, so you can see the difference of the chassis before and after. Okay, okay, next let's move to the front bumper and the rear bumper part. Okay, for cutting this bumper you do need a professional machine, which is I mentioned earlier on the video. You do need this Paxson micro milling machine, which is the model number, it is MF70. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and mark the part which they have to remove on this front bumper. The part I have removed on this bumper, which is right here and right here, and also this part right here. Okay, and a little bit right here. Okay, so same thing on right here. You have to remove right here and right here, the L shape, and also right here. and also this little bit of wall right here. Okay, and also again you have to remove this little it looks like some kind of foot right here. You have to remove this little foot, okay, right here. Okay, and also another thing you have to remove, it is a little bit right here. So I'm gonna explain this part a little bit later, because let me finish the cutting on this part and this part first. Okay, same thing on the rear bumper. You have to do the same thing. Remove this, and this, and also this. And the rear part you have to remove a little bit right here, and the same thing on the other side. Okay. Okay. So okay, first you can set up a machine like this, and make sure you put the machine vise. You can find this machine vise with this Parkson micro milling machine, and of course you have to buy this one separately. Recommend this machine vise. Okay. In the next, you're gonna see the chassis, the bumper has a little bit design like this right here. Okay, so here's total flat, and right here have a like 90-degree angle right here. So you're gonna try to put this one into the vise right here. Okay, so how you're gonna do that, it is you're gonna see like this part right here. You're gonna try, you have to make the same size as this little gap right here. So you're gonna insert this gap right here on the top of vise and lock it. Okay, make sure do not lock all the way. Okay, just lock a little bit, make sure it can hold the bumper, so the bumper still can move, but it also can be sit on top of the vise like this. Okay, let me give you a side angle so you can see. So okay, as you can see, this is the chassis and this is the vise. See, this is the part that you have to climb on it. Okay, like this. Okay, so this whole piece of chassis right now is flat on top of vise. Okay, so next you can go ahead and cut it. So okay, first I'm gonna remove this little round thing and this L shape right here. You have to gradually remove it, not move all the way. Okay, so I just gonna go ahead, cut every 2 millimeter deeper every single time. Okay, and finally I'm gonna adjust the whole pieces after I almost cut everything. Okay, okay, so first make sure you hold your chassis by one finger on top of vise. So this is very important, because remember I didn't lock the vise all the way, so this thing still can move. Okay, so you need one finger to hold it and during cutting. Okay, make sure this thing doesn't really move. Okay, then go ahead, I'm just gonna go ahead turn the machine and to remove this L and this circle right here. Okay, so okay, just finish. It's okay, just finish cutting my first phrase. So okay, I just finished one side So okay, I just finished my first stage of cutting. Okay, so moving to the next stage of cutting, I'm just gonna continue cutting. So I'm gonna continue cut it deeper. Okay, so I'm gonna do the same thing and drop my cutting bit a little bit lower. So that's why it's very important to cutting. So it's very important to cut this chassis slowly, because you don't really want to cut all the way to the destination point. Okay, because in this case it will destroy the chassis. That's why you have to really taking time and slowly cut the chassis and to make sure there's no damage. Okay, so make sure your hand have to hold the chassis. Okay, again. So again, make sure your hand hold the chassis and really firm, and make sure the chassis don't really move, because it's very important when cutting chassis. So this chassis, if it moves, it can destroy your chassis. Okay. So I'm gonna remove all the plastic. Okay. So make sure every single cut, and make sure remove all the remaining plastic. Okay. After you move this part right here, you're gonna go ahead and move the other side of the chassis. Okay. So the other side chassis, you're gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna go ahead, turn this one around and put on the other direction. Okay. So okay, right here, you can see I remove both bumper and the ring right here, and also the L shape right here, and I move both about reserve about 2 mm of the plastic. So next, gonna just go ahead and keep trimming down a little bit. So I'm gonna probably trim another 1 mm. I'm only gonna reserve, or I would say I'm only gonna keep 1 mm. Okay, so right now it is about 2 mm, and make sure you have to keep at least 1 mm, because if you cut all the way level with this base right here, this part right here gonna be very weak, because you don't have enough plastic to support your front bumper for the suspension system. So recommend at least keep 1 mm. So right now I have 2 mm. I'm just gonna go ahead trim a little bit more, because I want my chassis being a little bit flexy. So in this way you have to trim a little bit more. Okay. So I'm just gonna go ahead drop my cutting bit about 1 mm lower. Okay. Okay, just finished cutting both chassis, the wrong part right here. So as you can see, I remove here and here. Okay, so on both front bumper and the rear bumper. Okay, so you can see I reserve about 1 mm from the base right here. Okay, so you can see right here. Okay, so as you can see from the side, it's almost basically only have a little bit right here. That's why I'm saying do not move all the way, because in this case you're only gonna have a little bit plastic remaining on the bumpers, because this is your support, this is your joint. So make sure at least keep 1 mm. Okay, next we're gonna go ahead and move this foot right here and here and here and here, because this foot actually will block your chassis moving up and down. Okay, so without that your chassis can move like this. If you have the foot, you can see on the back of the chassis, this part right here block you, so your chassis cannot move up and down, because this part right here it's gonna be some block right here to block the bottom of the chassis. So okay, I'm gonna do the same thing. Hold the chassis with one finger on top of the vise, and make sure do not damage this part right here. Okay, you only gonna move this foot right here. Okay. Okay, so it gonna be looks like this. As you can see, the foot already gone on this side right here. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and move the rest of the foot. Okay, so just make sure do not damage the surface. You're only gonna remove the foot and make it level as this surface right here. Okay. Okay, for the second option to remove the foot right here, if you have this kind of expensive plastic cutter, actually, so you can simply just cut this piece off, okay, like this. Okay, you can see it's almost same thing, and there's no damage on the plastic right here. Okay, so remember earlier on the video I mentioned you have to make a deep shallow cutting right here. Okay, so let me cut this piece first, and then after that I'm gonna explain why you have to make a shallow design right here. Okay, so same, you're gonna set up the bumper on top of vise. Okay, hold it with one finger and drop the cutting bit to the lowest point you want to cut. Okay, and make sure you cut layer by layer. Do not rush. Okay, just be patient, slowly cutting it. Okay, just finish make a shallow deep cut right here, so you can see. Let me give you a better angle so you can see. So you can see right here I trim some layer off, so right here being very thin right here, and also this one same thing, I trim right here, so it's being very thin. It's like some kind of like piece of paper. You even can see through from this end and to the other end, so it's very thin right here. The reason you have to make some shallow design right here because the counter gear. Okay, so let me give an example. When you have a suspension system, your chassis gonna move like up and down like this. Okay, up and down like this. So when you spin your wheel, you think about it, when the chassis moves, see, it don't really stop because I have that shallow design right here. So if you don't have the shallow design, see, it will stop, because when chassis move up, the bottom of this pieces right here gonna contact the counter gear, which is, let me open it to give you some detail looking. So as you can see, your counter gear gonna be located right here, right? So after your chassis move up, so this bottom base is move up too. But remember, your counter gear doesn't really move. It stay on the same position. So move up. So the counter gear, the end of edges right here, gonna be contact on the bottom of the chassis right here. That's why you have to giving a little bit space right here. Okay, so that's why you trim right here a little bit shallow. So once move up, it giving some gaps. Okay. Okay. So here's all the cutting for the front bumper and the rear pieces. And moving to the next, we're gonna go ahead teach you how to cut the center of the chassis. Okay, first we're gonna remove four round bar on the chassis. This one, and this one, and this one. Use the plastic cutter. Okay, so make sure you have really good plastic cutter, because the cheap one don't really cutting well. Okay, and make sure do not cut everything, just reserve a little bit more. So after that, we're gonna go ahead and trim that one to be flat. Okay, so after remove all the bar, it's gonna be looks like this. Okay, see, remember I say reserve a little bit more like this. And then next we're gonna put this one on top of the micro milling machine like this. Make sure keep on flat surface, okay? Or either you can put a small sitting board on top of the micro milling machine like this. Okay, then drop the cutting bit to the lowest, the destination point. Okay, so the destination point is gonna be same level as this part right here. So you can see the bar have a little bit stick out, but also here, let me give you a better angle so you can see. You're gonna drop your lowest point to right here, this point right here. Okay, so you're gonna trim this surface same level as this part right here. Okay, so we're just gonna go ahead and drop the cutting bit to that lowest point. Okay, so just gonna go ahead setting this one right here. Okay, it's gonna be looks like this after trim flat of this full bar right here. Okay, and then next use the 2.1 millimeter hand drill to enlarge this little hole right here. Okay, so just gonna go ahead, use the drill and make this hole a little bit bigger. Okay, and do the same thing to the other 3 holes. So okay, moving to the next, we're gonna get a 1 centimeter screw and 6.7 millimeter spacer. Okay, gonna set up like this and put that on one end of chassis like this. Okay, and they're gonna do the same thing to the other end. So okay, it's gonna be looks like this. Okay, make sure to put one end first, and the next just gonna go ahead, because you need this to insert to the gap right here. So this way this one don't move. So in this case you can hold this chassis on top of the micro milling machine. Okay, and because next we're gonna go ahead remove some part of the chassis. Okay, we're gonna remove this pieces right here and this pieces right here. Okay, and also this part right here and this part right here. Okay, and there's some barrel you can see this very small line right here. You also have to remove this line right here. You have to make sure this line have to be flat and have to be same level as this big line right here. So you have to move this line and make sure do not over trim, just make sure same level as the base one. Okay, so we're just gonna hold the chassis like that on top of the cutting machine. Make sure it's laid on one side like this, and then get 2 set of a step clamp and hold the chassis both ends on this angle right here. Okay, so okay, gonna hold chassis like this and then make sure one side of the aluminum spacer have to against this direction, and I'm just gonna go ahead and remove the plastic bar right here. Okay, make sure and the stew, make sure you gradually remove it. Do not rush. Okay, just remove layer by layer. Okay. Okay, just remove the 2 plastic pieces on the side, on this side too. Okay, so you can see it's gone. Remember original, we have the plastic right here and here, so right now it's all gone. Okay, So as you can see, after remove all the plastic, and this part actually can move already like this, except right now it just have a little bit firm. It's pretty tight, and the same in the front, and you can see right now it can move up and down. Okay, and again it's just a little bit tight. That's why we need some adjustment. Okay, but adjustment video we're gonna do on number 4 video. Okay, so today we're just gonna teach you how to cut a chassis. Okay, moving to the next, you have option, but I'll always to do that you have to remove the part of a battery compartment, and a remove battery compartment give you a very good advantage of dropping your battery central gravity. In this case, the battery can go a little bit lower, so make a car more stable. Also, remove the battery compartment, you can put the carbon fiber bar in between the chassis, can give a maximum support like this one right here. Okay, so you can see I have this bar right here supporting the front bracket and the rear bracket, and also you can see because this pieces I can put a bit lower, so my battery actually can go really low. So original is like about like this. So after remove the bearing compartment, my battery can go low like this. Okay, see the difference? Okay, so it's make battery really low, so giving better lower central gravity. Okay, for remove bearing compartment, the best way it is use a Dremel. Okay, like this. Make sure you put a cutting bit like this, follow the line and cut it. Okay, so as you can see from battery compartment, there's a line right here. Okay, you have to follow this line and the cut from here to here, and also here. Make sure you also follow the line, but not this line. You have to make a straight line, cut all the way right here. On the side, you're gonna cut from here all the way to here. Okay, so all these pieces have to go. Okay, so let me just go ahead and remove the bearing compartment and show you how it looks like. Okay, so after you remove the most part of a battery compartment, it looks like this. So you can see right here has to have some plastic right here. You have to remove it, and also you can see this angle right here has plastic too, and some small pieces of plastic. Just use a knife to slowly cut off or either scratch off. Okay, so like this. So as you can see with knife, it's very easy to remove. Okay. Okay, so like this. So if you see anything block the battery, make sure to remove it. Okay. Okay, just gonna go ahead and do the same thing to the other side. Okay, just finish the chassis, the bearing compartment right here. Okay, here's another tips. Make sure you can see this one right here and this point right here, and there's 4 of them. Okay, make sure right here, if you want to trim off a bit lower, you should go ahead and trim that off, because you're gonna put a popsicle right here to support the middle of a chassis. Sometimes if your wheel it is kind of big diameter, so you don't really have to trim right here. But like my situation, this wheel is 23.8. You might need to trim off a little bit right here, because since your wheel is really small, the lowest point gonna be very low, so you have to trim off this part right here so popsicle can go a little bit higher. Okay, so just gonna go ahead and trim a little bit to show you how it looks like after I trim this point right here. Okay, so you're gonna drop your cutting bit to the destination point. Okay, so okay, you can see trim a little bit lower right here and here. So in this case, if you have a small diameter wheel, the popsicle support can go really higher. Okay, so otherwise it's very hard for you to mount the popsicle right here. So that's why I trim off a little bit. Okay, so you can see. Okay, so okay, here's today's video. And before I end of this video, let's do a quick review what we did today. Okay, first on the center part we removed the front and the rear bumper right here. So this is the original pieces supposed to be attached to the chassis, so like this. So we cut that off and cut this piece off too. Okay, the next we cutting the front and the rear bumper. So we make a shallow cut right here. Okay, you can see. Okay, so I've been removed from here this round circle to this L shape right here. And also we removed the foot on this location right here. And another thing we did, it is the shallow cutting on the bottom, the base of the chassis, which is right here. So we did the same thing on the rear bumper. Okay, so you can see the cutting right here and here and here. Okay, so okay, here's everything for today. And for next video we're gonna do a bracket. And by the way, we haven't finished the final cutting for the chassis yet. This is just the first step of cutting the chassis. And there's some adjustment we have to do after we do the second video, which is the bracket of the support of the chassis. Okay. And thank you for watching my YouTube channel. If you have any question, just go ahead and leave a comment.